Phillies back at it tonight against those always tough Chicago Cubs. Their pitching matchup is Alec Mills versus Ranger Suarez. Phillies are a monster favorite, which is really nice. But anyway, let's talk to our next guest about where this season is going, where it has gone. He, of course, is the Hall of Fame baseball writer, Jayson Stark. He's brought to us by Everfresh Juices and Juice Drinks. Good juices for good times. Hello, Jayson.
Hey, Mike, they're a monster favorite? They've already lost Alec Mills.
Yeah, they're minus 195 with Ranger Suarez.
How about that?
Sandy Koufax himself. Listen, it's going to be tough for me to do this interview with you. I got to be honest with you. Because I am just like, I just want this season to end, Jayson.
It's hard to watch, right? It's hard to
so
watch.
difficult to watch them lose to bad teams.
It's a movie we have seen a million times. We know how it's going to end. It feels like, but I just need to remind you, like, what an ugly race it is. Not just here. Forget the Braves for a minute. I know they got a crusher of a West Coast trip that's coming up, but they're not going to lose this division. So look at this wild card race.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at it.
Yeah.
The Reds have lost 11 out of 15. The Padres over the last month are 8-20. The Mets since the middle of June are 8 games under 500. Like, the Cardinals feel hot relative to everybody else. They're only 7-6 the last 2 weeks. So I just remind you, this is what you're dealing with. I always like to play the math game, right? So Fangraphs is projecting 84 wins right now for the second wild card. So if that's right, that means the Phillies somehow or other would still have 6 losses to play with in basically 6 series. And with this schedule, you would say, well, that shouldn't be impossible, except for the fact we're talking about a team that's gone, I think it's 3-8 against Pirates, Marlins, Rockies, and Cubs in the last month.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say. It's not fun to watch this team, and so, like, I'll ask you this question because Dombrowski's too smart of a baseball man not to have the same view of this whole thing. So, according to the stories that we've read, that he's completed his evaluations and we're ready to go on a new path. What do you think that new path is?
I don't know how new the path is, but all right. In the big picture, I would say it's hard to answer this 100% because Dave keeps things really close to the vest. So even the people who work with him most closely will say they're not totally sure what he has planned, but they'll say stuff like, it'll be interesting, and I agree with that. But if you just take a step back and you look at the roster, don't they have to keep trying to win with this core group and just do a better job of putting pieces in place around that group once Dave has a full offseason to do that? Bryce is here for 10 more years, and think about the promises that were made to him about winning. JT Realmuto is here for 4 more years. He's now on the other side of 30. Zach Wheeler's here for 3 more years, and he's 31. And Dave wasn't brought here to blow it up. It's not what he does. So, he's coming in. He knows the system is not good enough to win with kids that are ready to get called up. So, just being logical, doesn't it have to be more of the same, except that you would expect him with a full offseason to make good decisions?
I don't know how many good decisions he can make. And I know what you're talking about because they're kind of, I don't know what they're going to do at shortstop. The shortstop, second baseman is still under contract. The third base situation, I guess Bum will get another shot at it. At left field and center field are very problematic for him. If they go to the DH next year, I guess Hoskins will be okay in that role. But you did talk about Realmuto. I got to ask you this question because I think it's legit. Is he a broken down catcher at this stage?
I don't know about broken down, but he's definitely beat up. He's been beat up. That's been obvious. You got the manager saying it's not something that requires surgery. It's not something that even requires an MRI. But look at his body language, Mike. Look at the season he's been having, and tell me this is what you thought you were getting. Before that game Sunday, he was 6 for his last 33 with no power and no production. Look at his defense. Remember his first year here. He threw out, it was 43 runners stealing.
Mm-hmm.
He's thrown out 10 this year. 10.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. They need to protect him from himself at this point of his career. Coming out of the All-Star break, if I remember this right, I think he caught 28 out of 32 games. That is too heavy a load. He should not be catching that much if you want him to get through the contract. And the other part is you need him to hit. And when he gets this beat up, you're not getting the offense that you need out of him to win.
All right, so what does that mean? That he plays 50 games at first base next year?
Well, if there's a universal DH, that solves part of that problem. I know there's a lot of guys you need to rotate through DH if Rhys Hoskins is back and if Alec Boehm is back. But that's a really critical part of keeping him healthy, I think.
All right. They clipped Velasquez finally. Are there any other guys that you could see this guy going, nah, you know what, he doesn't fit. Even though he's still in the mix, he doesn't fit. We're going to move on from him.
Yeah, I don't know about you. Like, if that didn't get a lot of attention, Vince Velasquez getting designated and then released, or even Eniel De Los Santos getting put on waivers. But I do think that tells us something about Dave. At this point, even though theoretically they're still trying to win, and they have a hard time figuring out who's going to pitch any given inning when somebody, when Wheeler's not, Noah's not. But when Dave knows that you have players who are not going to be part of it going forward, he is not afraid to do that cold-blooded thing. Yeah. And so the question is, how many other guys on this team is he willing to do that with? The guy I find most intriguing is the shortstop. Didi Gregorius has had a horrible year. I think by almost any standard, he's been one of the worst regular players in baseball, by any standard, on both sides of the ball. He's on the wrong side of 30. He looks like a platoon player at best. He hadn't done anything against left-handed pitching. It's embarrassing. Are they willing, in a year when there's a lot of shortstops on the market, to just say, Didi, thanks, we know you owe you the money, but we've had enough.
Just eat it. Just eat the money?
You got to pay it one way or the other. Can you
move them and take and pay most of the salary? That kind of thing?
I don't know that there's been a lot of interest.
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll be explored. But can you win if Didi Gregorius is your everyday shortstop?
Nope.
Don't see how?
Not now. He looks like a spent player. Yeah, I hear you. So let me ask you this then. If they can't, they don't have any other resources to add talent, they have to make some trades or add a free agent or two. Who are a couple of names that may be in play?
We don't have a feel yet for what John Middleton is going to tell Dave Dombrowski about the tax threshold. Somehow or other, they did not go over this year. Somehow. Yeah. But if Dave's got free hand, and I do think John brought him here to win, then you should look at every potential late inning bullpen option, because they'll need to replace 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. Plus, the cast of characters leading up to that is sketchy. They're going to need one, maybe two starters, because there's questions about Eflin. Free agent left fielders, got to look at that. I don't know what they're going to do about center field.
Chris Bryant in play?
That's going to be a monster contract, so I would doubt it.
30
but they're going to probably need to sign one of these monster contract players, right, at some position, whether it's outfield, corner outfield, or one of the shortstops, or one of the pitchers, and I mean that puts them in a really uncomfortable payroll spot. But just tell me what the formula is for them to win if they don't spend a ton of money.